Tonight, you're stepping into Morrowglass Array, a massive salvage station where breathing is part of the security system. Down in Salvage Bay 9, two factions run everything without wearing uniforms. The Prudence engine calls it safety. The Remnant claim calls it inheritance. And if you get flagged by either one, the station does not chase you with guns. It chases you with air. Seer Mercer is a pressure welder and rescue tech, and he has exactly one job: seal a damaged hatch and get back out before the next lockdown cycle seals the wrong corridors. But something goes wrong in seconds, and a life-saving fix turns into a warning label that the station cannot ignore. Here is the question you will be asking the whole way through. If a system can squeeze your lungs on command, how do you prove you are not the problem? Because once they decide you are a variable, they do not need to arrest you. They only need to measure you until you fail. And someone is already watching the numbers. Morrowglass Array did not warn you with drama. It warned you with a light. In Salvage Bay 9, a red lane strip flipped on, and the alarm horn began its slow pulse. That pulse meant lockdown was coming, and in less than 2 minutes the bulkheads would seal the wrong corridors. If Seer Mercer was still on the wrong side when they shut, he would not get second try. The bay looked like the back of an airport baggage hall, only hotter and meaner. Two factions ruled it from the shadows. The Prudence engine treated safety like math, and the Remnant claim treated Rex like inheritance. Seer was a pressure welder and rescue tech. His job was simple to say and hard to survive. Seal the hatch, keep the bay from venting, then get back to the main spine before the next machine cycle. He knelt at a jammed access hatch on a dead freighter and put his glove on the manual valve. The spotter in his ear said the compartment was stable, and that single word was supposed to mean safe. Then the pressure rhythm skipped. It felt like a quiet door closing in your face. Seer's ears popped. His visor flashed a warning. He reached for the latch anyway, because that was the job and the clock was already eating the air. The hatch inhaled. A hard pull yanked him into the rail. His ribs hit first, then his chest tore from the inside, sharp and wet. And he tried to inhale, but got a thin, useless sip. He tasted copper and felt the world narrow to one ugly fact. He could not breathe. "We're losing air," the spotter said. Seer slammed his palm onto the emergency seal pad and forced the manual valve shut. The hatch stopped moving and the bay did not vent, but his body kept trying to breathe through a leak that did not care about effort. Every breath scraped. Behind him, Grinders woke up with a rising scream that did not care about human lungs. A crewman slid in and grabbed his shoulder. "Seer, stay with me," the crewman said. Seer tried to answer, but he could not. Boots pounded closer as stretcher glided in, and hands hauled him onto it with practiced speed. The motion stabbed him, and he nearly blacked out. The crewman shouted down the lane. "Medical now," the crewman said. Seer caught one glimpse of the freighter hatch as they rolled away. The manual dial was still vibrating like it wanted to slip back. He tried to lift a hand to double-check it, but his arm shook and dropped, and his body was already losing the argument. They shoved the stretcher through a side door, and the bay noise fell behind them, but the vibration stayed deep in the walls. The medical cubicle was a cramped industrial room wedged between coolant pipes, and it felt like an emergency room built inside a warehouse. Dr. Imani rose, met the stretcher at the threshold, and took control with one look. She leaned in close and kept her voice firm. "Do not talk," Imani said. "Save air." She sealed a pressure mask over his face and forced oxygen in. Seer's chest rose, then stuttered, and he could feel the air ballooning where it should not. Imani checked his pulse and listened fast. Her answer came quick and flat. "Torn lung and a leak," Imani said. "We do not have time to move you off the line." A tech hovered by the door and kept glancing at the corridor. His voice carried the kind of fear people hide under procedure. "Containment is asking for a hold," the tech said. Behind him, the corridor. Camera lens widened, then narrowed, as if the station itself had leaned in. A door 2 bays down clicked shut with a heavy sound, and the lock sequence had started. Imani did not look away from Seer. Her tone stayed controlled, but her meaning sharpened. "Tell containment he is not a file," Imani said. "He is a man." Seer fixed his eyes on hers and dragged sound out of his throat. "I can't breathe," Seer said. "I know," Imani said. "I have one option left." She pulled a sealed packet from a lock kit and held it up where Seer could focus. The label read Aeroseal biopatch. "It is a soft patch that sticks inside your lung like medical tape," Imani said. "It can seal a tear fast, and we have to do it now." Seer swallowed hard and forced the next words through the mask. "What is the price?" Seer asked. "It needs steady breathing," Imani said. If you sprint, fight hard, or take a hard impact, it can peel and you crash. The room shook as a hoist slammed nearby. Seer flinched as pain knifed through his ribs. Imani caught his eyes again and steadied him with her voice. "Look at me," Imani said. Small breaths. She worked fast, and a scope went in with a quiet click. Somewhere outside, a speaker announced a safety freeze in a tone meant to calm people, and Seer understood what it meant. When the line froze, the people with authority arrived first. Seer felt cold deep inside, then pressure, then a strange relief. The next breath came in deeper and stayed. His eyes widened. Imani watched the monitor and exhaled once. Her words landed like a rule. "Stay boring," Imani said. Seer tried to nod, and the mask hissed. The pain did not vanish, but it stopped spreading, and that was enough to stay alive. A wall scanner chirped over the sink, the kind meant to catch suit leaks and chemical residue. A thin beam swept Seer's chest, and the screen drew a pale outline that highlighted a clean ring around the patch, a sharp boundary like a sticker edge. The tech went pale and stared at the readout. It flagged an artificial tissue margin, the tech said. Imani's jaw tightened. Her answer was quiet, but it was not surprised. "Of course it did," Imani said. The console displayed a line. That read, "Unusual biological signature. Verify origin. Notify containment." A second line followed, and it hit harder because it was simple. The console displayed a line that read, "Subject flag for control transfer." Seer forced his breathing down, and the patch held, but he could feel how fragile that hold was. Boots hit the corridor outside, fast and coordinated, and it did not sound like a work crew. A voice came through the door speaker, calm and flat. "Dr. Rose, remain in place," the voice said. "This cubicle is entering containment review." Imani kept her tone level. "He needs a stable bay," Imani said. "Denied," the voice said. "Risk classification pending." Seer looked at Imani. His whisper barely carried. "Prudence engine?" Seer asked. Imani did not confirm it aloud. She popped a service panel under the sink and revealed a narrow maintenance hatch, then shoved a plain jacket into Seer's hands. "We got the back," Imani said. "Move like workers, not fugitives." Seer swung his legs off the cot. The motion sparked pain, sharp but contained. He stood anyway with careful precision, and his mind felt clean in a way it had not felt in years, like oxygen had turned on the lights. He hated that it felt useful. Imani pointed at his chest and kept her voice tight. "Put on," Imani said. "Keep your breathing steady." They slipped into the hatch and closed it behind them. The latch did not seal clean on the first try. Imani slammed it with her shoulder until it clicked, and the sound was small, but it felt loud in a place where every noise became a record. The passage smelled like metal and cold water, like the corridor behind a grocery store freezer. Half a minute in, the air changed again, not from running but from the building itself. The vent above them sighed a little warmer, then a little colder. Seer felt the shift hit his chest like a hand pressing inward. His throat tried to cough, but he swallowed it down and kept his steps measured. Seer stopped when his chest tightened and the patch pulled like a warning. Imani stared at a vent grill as if it had a face. "They're touching the environment," Imani said. Seer kept his voice low. "To make me fail?" Seer asked. Imani nodded once. "To measure you," Imani said. A second. Truth landed harder as Seer listened to the vents and felt the timing. If the Prudence engine could tune the air, then this was not chase yet. It was a test. Imani leaned close. Her next words came out like a cold plan. "And when they finish testing," Imani said, "the remnant claim will come for what your scan can prove." Seer kept his breath small and even and stared into the narrow dark. He made the only decision that mattered. "Then we leave the test," Seer said, "before it writes our ending." Morrowglass Array had let Seer Mercer and Dr. Imani Rose slip into a manual air lane, but had not let them go. Their goal now was simple. Find a stretch of steady pressure so the Aeroseal biopatch would hold, then reach a control kiosk before the Prudence engine tuned the grid to make Seer fail. The manual lane felt like a service hallway behind a closed diner. The air was flatter and quieter. Seer could finally take a breath that did not bite, but Imani did not celebrate because stillness was how you got boxed. "Small breaths," Imani said. "I know," Seer said. They reached a junction where a cracked wall screen showed a simple lane display. Imani pulled up a pressure map that looked like a weather app for hallways. The map showed which corridors were calm and which ones would squeeze you, and the next shift cycle was less than a minute away. Imani traced a thin green path with her finger. Her choice came with no drama. "We take that," Imani said. "It is a manual strip. A manual strip was like taking a side road when the freeway turns into a parking lot. The building could not tune it as tightly, and the window closed as soon as containment flagged you twice. A vent above them sighed. The air warmed, then tightened just a little, like a hand testing a grip. Seer felt in his chest, and the biopatch tugged, not peeling, just warning. Imani watched his face and kept moving. Her voice stayed low. They are feeding pulses even here, Imani said. Seer kept his voice even. He asked the question anyway. Who is they? Seer asked. Imani answered without a lecture. Someone with hands on the grid, Imani said. And they want your breathing to spike. They moved. Off the manual strip and into a wider service spine with painted arrows and a camera dome at the bend. The spine felt like the back corridor of an airport where employees walk fast and do not look up. A calm safety voice rolled out a speaker. Containment advisory, the voice said. Unscheduled biological variants detected. Remain at your station. Imani kept her eyes forward. She said the name like a warning, not a shout. That is the Prudence engine, Imani said. They use safety as a leash. A bulkhead ahead began to lower, slow and confident, like an airport gate arm coming down. Imani did not run. She changed pace by inches, the way you do when you do not want cameras to label you as panic. Seer matched her. His mind stayed oddly sharp, like someone had cleaned a window inside his head. He hated that the clarity came with pain. They slipped under the bulkhead before it shut. The gate thumped behind them, and the air on the far side got heavier. Seer swallowed and forced his breath smaller, and the biopatch held, but the warning tug stayed. Imani turned into a tool bay and killed the overhead light. The room smelled like hot rubber and oil, like a mechanic shop at midnight. Seer kept his whisper tight. Say it plain, Seer said. What is happening to me? Imani answered plain. They're trying to make you cough, run, or fight hard, Imani said. If you do, the patch can peel, and then they get to call you unstable. Seer stared into the dark. He forced the next question through his ribs. So, I'm a test? Seer asked. Imani nodded. A living test, Imani said. A second voice cut in from the doorway, soft and close. It did not sound like a worker. And test get filed, the voice said. Imani snapped her head up. A containment worker stood there in a plain jacket and clean gloves. He did not raise a weapon. He raised a wrist scanner. Imani shoved Seer behind a rack and kept her voice low. Move, Imani said. Keep your chest quiet. Seer slid through the narrow gap. His ribs scraped a metal edge and pain flashed. He swallowed it and kept his breathing small. Imani stepped into the doorway to block the angle. He is injured, Imani said. You are. Escalating risk. The worker spoke into his mic, calm as a customer service call. Containment lead Moravin, subject located, service spine tool bay, the worker said. So that was the name, and it landed like a weight. Moravin was not a rumor, and the station sounded different once she had a handle on you. Imani grabbed a fire curtain pull and yanked it. The curtain dropped between the tool bay and the corridor, heavy and loud. It did not stop people forever, but it bought seconds. Seer used those seconds. He found a maintenance hatch low to the floor and tore it open. Cold air rolled out smelling like wet metal. Imani slid in after him. The hatch slammed shut, and the curtain outside rustled as hands hit it. Seer crawled on his elbows. The crawl space was tight, and his breath stayed controlled because fear had nowhere to expand. Behind them, Mara Ven arrived. Her voice came through the hatch, not angry, almost kind. Dr. Rose, you're in the wrong place, Mara said. If you keep moving, the subject will fail on his own. Imani did not argue. She kept crawling. Seer kept his whisper small. She is not chasing? Seer asked. Imani answered without looking back. She does not need to, Imani said. They exited into a load check corridor that smelled like burnt coffee and warm plastic. It looked like the back office behind a shipping counter, full of screens and tired workers. Their goal was clear. Reach a control kiosk and lock a lane long enough for Seer to stabilize. Imani spotted the kiosk at the far end. Seer took 3 steps, then the air tightened again, timed with his inhale. His chest seized, and the biopatch flared with a hot sting. Imani caught his wrist. Do not fight it, Imani said. Ride it. Seer forced a slow exhale. The sting eased just enough to stand straight. At the far end, a containment team appeared, not running and not shouting. They moved like they owned the schedule. Mara Vin walked in the center with hands empty and eyes focused. The scanner in her palm chirped once like a checkout beep. Mara stopped at a polite distance and kept her voice calm. You want the kiosk, Mara said. I want you to stop. Imani answered first to control the frame. We are going to the kiosk, Imani said. We are doing it to stabilize a patient. Mara tilted her head. A patient is stable in a bay, Mara said. A variable is stable in custody. Seer kept his voice quiet and asked the question anyway. Are you trying to save people? Seer asked. Mara did not blink. I'm trying to prevent a chain failure, Mara said. One weak link can kill hundreds here. Imani took a half step sideways to block the straight line to Seer. You are squeezing him, Imani said. That makes him worse. Mara glanced toward a ceiling vent. The vent hissed a small pulse. Seer felt it pinch his chest again, and Mara spoke like she was stating a rule. If he cannot hold under mild squeeze, Mara said, he cannot exist on this grid. Imani did not waste words. She reached into her bag, pulled a small hand tool, and popped a side panel off the wall. She yanked a cable loose. The overhead light flickered and the vents hesitated. For a moment, the air stopped shifting. Mara's eyes narrowed. You touched infrastructure, Mara said. I touched a lifeline, Imani said. Seer used a brief calm to move. He walked at worker pace, not fast and not slow. The biopatch stayed quiet and his mind stayed clear. A containment worker stepped into his path with hands out, trying to guide rather than grab. Seer did not swing. He turned his shoulder and slid past, using the man's own balance like a door, clean and small and enough. Mara lifted her scanner. The device chirped again. The vents above them sighed, and the squeeze returned harder. Seer tasted metal. His throat begged for a cough. Swallow it, Imani said. Seer swallowed and kept moving because a cough was exactly what they wanted. They reached the kiosk. Imani slammed her palm onto the console and pulled up the lane controls. The console displayed a line that read, access restricted. Containment present. Mara spoke from behind them with the same calm. Step away from the kiosk, Mara said. Your actions are turning into evidence. Imani did not turn. Then watch, Imani said. Watch me keep him alive. Imani flicked through menus searching for a manual lane override. The air kept squeezing in small pulses like someone tapping brakes on Seer's lungs. Seer leaned on the counter and forced his breathing into a slow rhythm, because if he spiked, he lost, and if he collapsed, they won. Imani found a lane window and hit the switch. A door on the side corridor clicked open. A green strip lit on the floor like runway lights telling you where to go. Imani grabbed Seer's sleeve. Go, Imani said. They moved onto the green strip. The squeeze faded by a fraction, just enough to keep Seer upright. Mara did not follow fast. She followed sure, and she said it out loud like it was normal. I want to see how long the patch holds, Mara said. Seer heard it and understood. They were not being arrested. They were being measured. The green strip lane led them into a narrow corridor with older vents. The air stayed flatter. Seer could breathe again. Imani kept their goal in front. This buys us minutes, Imani said. We need a place where the building cannot tune you at all. Seer nodded. A dead zone, Seer asked. A safe pocket, Imani said. At the next junction, a woman stood by a console station with hair tied back and hands steady. She wore the jacket of a certification engineer, the kind who signs off on routes before heavy moves. Hier, Bedcherit, Yun Violent. She looked up and saw them. Her eyes went to Seer's face, then to the vents. Imani spoke first, direct and fast. I opened a manual lane, Imani said. The grid is pulsing air at him. Jun's gaze flicked to the lane readout. That should not happen on a certified strip, Jun said. It happens anyway, Seer said. We need a pocket where it cannot. Yun looks a Imani. If I help you, I take the blame for the outcome, Jun said. Imani nodded once. Yes, Imani said. And if you do not, they turn him into a label. Jun stared at the lane timer and made a decision without drama. I can give you a dock pocket, Jun said. A short one. Imani kept moving. How short? Imani asked. Jun did not give a number. Short enough that you will feel it, Jun said. A soft voice drifted in from the side hallway. If you want time, we have more, the voice said. A man stepped into view in plain coveralls. His badge looked real, but his eyes did not. Imani went still and said the name like a warning. Remick claim, Imani said. The man did not deny it. Executor Rowan Thane sends respect, the man said. We're trying to keep an old death from being buried again. Yun Faunil. Old death. Yun asked. The man answered in one control breath. A decompression incident written as an accident, the man said. Someone benefited. Seer felt a cold knot form in his stomach. He was not just a patient. He was a link. Imani tightened her grip on Seer's sleeve. We are not your proof, Imani said. The man raised an open hand. We do not need his body, the man said. We need a scan margin. We need to link it to a record. June looked between them. You are offering what? Yun asked. The man smiled like a clerk offering a better seat. Found, the man said. A stable bay, no squeeze. Imani did not let the offer land as comfort. This is not help, Imani said. It is a claim. She pulled Seer toward the dock pocket route, because a promise was not oxygen. Yun teptia kinso. A side gate clicked open, and a new striplet, duller and older. Imani leaned close to Seer as they stepped onto it. We take the pocket, Imani said. We do not take the deal. Seer nodded and kept his breathing small. Behind them, the remnant claim man did not rush. His voice stayed casual. You will come back to us when the squeeze gets worse, the man said. At the far end of the strip, 2 riggers in dirty coveralls waited near a hatch with tools hanging at their belts. Their faces were turned away like they were bored, but Imani's whisper cut clean. Gray riggers, Imani said. Seer kept walking and did not stare. One rigger rolled a cart into the lane, casual, blocking half the path. It was not a wall. It was a choice. Seer chose control. He stepped around the cart without speeding up. The first rigger's hand flicked toward Seer's jacket collar too quick for a greeting. Seer caught the wrist and turned it just enough to stop the reach. He let go with a shove that looked like a normal workplace correction. The second rigger raised a tool, then hesitated when Seer did not panic. Imani pulled Seer through the hatch and slammed it shut. The strip behind them faded as the dock pocket timer ended. In the new corridor, the air felt steady again for a moment. Seer exhaled and the biopatch settled. Imani listened to the distant vents and heard the squeeze building back up like a storm forming before you see clouds. They know you can stay calm, Imani said. Seer swallowed. So they will tighten it, Seer said. Morrowglass Array had stopped pretending this was a simple containment job. Seer Mercer, Dr. Imani Rose, and June Valen needed to reach a steady pocket of air before the Prudence engine tightened the grid again. They also had to avoid the other trap. The remnant claim wanted Seer alive, but not free. They wanted his scan ring margin to link it to an old file. June kept the plan short and practical. We move to a stable pocket, June said. We do it to keep the patch stuck, then we get proof the grid is being tuned. Imani nodded. We need clean data, Imani said. Data that does not die in a hallway. A vent above them sighed. The air warmed, then tightened. Seer felt the tug in his ribs like someone pinched a seam. They are doing it on purpose, Imani said. Seer asked the question like he needed the words to stay sharp. To make me cough? Seer asked. Imani answered in one sentence. To make you fail where it looks like your fault, Imani said. They reached a 4-way junction with lane arrows painted like airport floor signs. A camera dome watched the corner, and a work light blinked in a slow rhythm that matched the vent pulses. A calm voice came from the speaker, close enough to feel personal. Subject variance persists, the voice said. Maintain routine traffic. Do not interfere. June kept her voice flat. Mara Ven is watching, June said. Seer answered without looking up. She does not have to touch me, Seer said. The corridor ahead narrowed into a service throat. The air got thicker like a freezer door had just shut. A bulkhead started to lower across the lane, not slamming shut, giving them time to make the wrong choice. Imani did not blink. We do not sprint, Imani said. We do not stop, Seer said. They walked faster without breaking into a run. Seer kept his jaw loose and his exhale slow. The biopatch held ass. They slid under the bulkhead before it sealed. On the other side, a lift cage waited with its gate open. A man in coveralls stood inside like he had been there all day. This lift goes to a stable deck, the man said. No squeeze up there. Imani froze and did not step closer. Who sent you? Imani asked. The man kept his smile. The remnant claim, the man said. We want to keep you alive long enough to clear an old lie. Seer felt the offer land like a warm drink. Stable air meant less pain and more time. Imani shook her head as if she could see the hook inside the cup. You want a scan ring, Imani said. The man shrugged like it was obvious. We want what it can link, the man said. A record that says accident when it was not. Seer felt the meaning hit clean and cold. This was not rescue. It was steering. June touched Seer's sleeve, light and urgent. Do not take lifts you did not ask for, June said. Imani pulled Seer past the lift. We do not ride with strangers, Imani said. The man did not chase. His voice stayed casual. You'll wish you did when the air gets worse, the man said. Seer kept walking. The air did get worse, right on schedule. A new pulse hit and his chest clenched. He swallowed the cough and kept moving. They ducked into a tool bay and cut through shelves. A forklift drone rolled by outside the door, then stopped, then rolled back the other way as if traffic had been rerouted. Eunice Militaizent. They are hurting us, June said. Seer listened to the vents. The pulses were not random. They were timed to his steps like a metronome that hated him. How do they do that? Seer asked. Imani kept it every day. They can tune rooms like a thermostat, Imani said. They do it to keep machines safe. Now they're doing it to you. A door ahead clicked open, not forced, invited. Inside was a bright break room with a vending unit and a single chair. It looked calm in a way that made Seer suspicious. June was already there. She sat in the chair with hands folded and eyes tired, wearing her certification jacket. The badge on her chest read, June Valen, but Seer already knew her name. Imani stared like the room had shifted under her. June? Imani said, why are you here? June did not stand. If I stay at my console, they watch my hands, June said. Here, they only watch your lungs. Seer felt the squeeze soften for a moment. He knew it was not mercy. You need a pocket that does not listen to the grid, June said. Imani held her gaze. Do you have one? Imani asked. June nodded once. A tie-down lane, June said. Old hardware, manual only. June moved them fast and quiet because she knew the doors that were old enough to ignore the grid. Her goal was clear. Get Seer and Imani into a tie-down lane that the Prudence engine could not tune before Mara Vin closed the last safe doors. They crossed a catwalk that smelled like hot metal and coffee. Below, the salvage floor looked like an airport baggage system built for ships, with cranes instead of belts. Seer kept his breathing steady. The biopatch tugged less here, but he could still feel it like a bandage under his shirt. June stopped at a plain door with faded paint and put her palm on the latch. This is the tie-down lane, June said. Manual air only, and the hub cannot tune from outside. It gives us a short window, June said, before they cut power and seal the arm. Imani nodded. So we go in, stabilize, then move, Imani said. June opened the door. Flat, steady air rolled out, cooler and cleaner. Seer took one careful breath and felt the pain drop from sharp to dull, and he did not relax because comfort had started to feel like bait. June walked them into the tunnel. The lighting was dim, and the floor had tied-down rings like a truck bed. It felt like the service hallway behind a loading dock, forgotten until it saved you. Imani kept her voice calm. Why help us? Imani asked. June insult will because the Prudence engine will turn this into policy, June said. They will label him unsafe, then label anyone like him unsafe. Seer kept his tone even. And you believe in safety? Seer asked. June looked at him like she was weighing words. I believe in people who can be safe, June said. They are not giving you the chance. Imani kept her question plain. What do you want from us? Imani asked. June hesitated, then said it clean. I want you to survive long enough to prove the squeeze is artificial, June said. If it is artificial, someone broke the line rules. A distant thump echoed through the tunnel, then another. Doors were closing in sequence. June checked a small lane timer on her wrist unit. Her mouth went tight. We do not have long, June said. Imani crouched by a wall panel and opened it. She did not explain. She started working. Seer stayed upright and listened. He could hear the building breathe in other corridors, but here it stayed flat. This is what normal should feel like, Imani said. June watched the tunnel entrance. Her hands were steady, but her eyes kept flicking to the ceiling like she expected it to bite. Seer asked her anyway. Are you scared? Seer asked. June answered honestly. Yes, June said. Because I know what happens when they decide a person is a variable. A shadow moved across the doorway, and someone walked past without entering, slow and deliberate. June whispered, like she did not want the tunnel to hear her. They know this lane exists, June said. Imani did not blink. They cannot tune it, Imani said. June's answer came out like a warning. They can still trap it, June said. The tunnel lights flickered once, not off, just a warning that the pocket was fragile. Seer took another slow breath and felt the biopatch settle like it was grateful. Then a voice came from the entrance, polite, like a manager at a counter. Certification engineer June Valen, step out, Mara Vin said. You are obstructing safety. June did not step out. She looked at Seer and Imani instead. Imani spoke first and kept the plan sharp. We use the pocket to move, Imani said. June nodded. We move now, June said. They left the tie-down lane because staying would turn it into a cage. Their goal was simple. Reach the upper rigging corridor where June could trigger a public lane record, then use that record to prove the Prudence engine had tuned air against the patient. Seer moved with control. Every step was measured. He did not run because running was a tax he could not pay. June led them into a rigging corridor lined with cable spools and anchor points. It felt like the narrow walkway beside a highway overpass, tight and exposed. Imani pointed to a console box. "That is the recorder," Imani said. "If we log the pulses, it sticks." June stepped to it with hands moving like she had done this 1,000 times. She was about to tap the access pad when the floor shuddered. A clean crack ran through a support plate at the far end of the corridor, not messy, precise. "June's tilt." Her voice went hard. "That is staged," June said. The corridor tilted. A heavy cable rack began to slide, slow at first, then faster. It was going to crush the console and block the exit, and the trap was clear because it forced a choice. If Seer rushed, he would cough. If he coughed, the biopatch could peel. If the patch peeled, he would drop, and Mara Vin would call it proof. Imani stepped forward anyway, and the rack slid faster. A cable whip snapped loose and cut across the air. Seer moved without sprinting. He stepped into the slide path, grabbed the rack frame, and used his weight like a doorstop, bracing it against a rail. Pain tore through his ribs, and his breath hitched. The biopatch tugged hard. "Seer, breathe," Imani said. Seer tried. The urge to cough surged. He swallowed it, then swallowed again, and his eyes watered. The rack shifted another inch, and Seer pushed, controlled and shaking. The patch pulled like tape on raw skin, and then a small peel happened at the edge. Not a full failure, but enough. Seer gasped. Air tasted thin. His vision narrowed. "The patch is slipping," Imani said. June shoved the last cable coil out of the way and slapped the recorder pad. "I'm logging this," June said. "I'm logging the timing." A heavy door slammed behind them, and Mara Vin's team had closed the corridor. Mara's voice came through the speaker, calm as ever. "Thank you," Mara said. "Now we have a failure event on record." Imani's voice snapped sharp. "You caused the rack slide," Imani said. Mara did not deny it. "We prevented a larger risk by proving the variable cannot hold," Mara said. Seer leaned against the rail, fighting for air. The biopatch stung with every breath. June looked at Seer, then at the corridor door. Her face changed from fear to realization. "They do not just want him," June said. "They want the label." Imani stared. "A label that becomes a rule," Imani said. June nodded once. "A standard," June said. Seer forced out one sentence like he was pinning it to the air. "Then we do not give them a clean one," Seer said. The recorder box beeped and saved the log. It was a small sound, but June clung to it like a rope. Mara Vin's voice returned, still polite. "Seer Mercer, sit down," Mara said. "If you fall, we carry you safely." Seer kept his feet. He breathed shallow and steady, and the patch held by a thread. Imani looked at June. "Can you open anything?" Imani asked. June swallowed. "One more lane," June said. "After that, I lose my access." Imani did not hesitate. "Open it," Imani said. June's fingers moved. A side hatch unlocked with a click. Seer pushed off the rail and followed slow and controlled. Each step hurt, but he stayed upright because the worst thing he could do was make their story easy. Behind them, Mara Vin let them go again, not because she was kind, but because she wanted to see what they did next. Morrowglass Array was tightening the squeeze, and the story being built around Seer Mercer was turning ugly. The goal now was not just to survive the next corridor. It was to stop the Prudence engine from turning his breathing into a permanent safety label, and to stop the remnant claim from steering him into a convenient piece of proof. Seer moved through the side hatch June had opened and kept his chest quiet and his face blank. Dr. Imani Rose stayed at his shoulder, watching his breath like it was a countdown clock. June led them into a maintenance stairwell that smelled like wet paint and hot wiring. It looked like the back stairwell behind a warehouse office that nobody used unless something was wrong. Imani spoke first because the plan had to be clear. "We get off the tuned corridors," Imani said. "We do it to keep the biopatch from peeling. Then we figure out who is guiding us." Seer nodded. "Because someone is," Seer said. The vents above them sighed, and the air tightened for one beat, like a hand tapping his ribs. Seer swallowed the cough that wanted to come and the pull. Inside his chest eased. June glanced up. Her voice stayed flat. "They are syncing pulses to you," June said. "You're a moving sensor to them." Seer looked at the stairwell door. "Then we stop being predictable," Seer said. They reached a landing with a small window that looked into a service spine. Workers moved below with heads down, trying not to notice anything. A containment crew crossed the far end of the spine at a calm pace, and Mara Vin was with them. Mara was not rushing, and that was the point. She did not need speed. She needed Seer to keep moving until his lungs wrote her proof. Imani kept her voice low. We are not going back into the main lanes, Imani said. Yoon nodded. We use the old lift, June said. It is rough, but the air controls are dumb. Dumb is good, Seer said. They started down. Halfway, a soft chime pinged from June's wrist unit. She checked it, and her face went flat. Imani caught the change. What? Imani asked. A message request, June said. Not from containment. Seer felt his stomach tighten. Remnant claim? Seer asked. June did not deny it. She opened the message, read fast, then shut it without showing the screen. They are offering a stable bay again, June said. Imani did not pause. They are not offering help, Imani said. They are offering direction. Seer kept his voice steady. Direction to what? Seer asked. June hesitated, then said the truth she had avoided. To an old incident file, June said. They want your scan ring margin to link it. Seer exhaled slowly. His lungs hurt, but his head felt clear enough to see the pattern. They were not chasing him to catch him. They were steering him to sign something with his body. Imani's voice cut quiet and sharp. Every time a door opened for us, it opened too clean, Imani said. Every pocket ended right when they wanted. Yoon swallowed. That lift offer earlier was them, June said. Seer stared down the stairwell. So, they did not want me dead? Seer asked. They wanted me positioned? Seer asked. Avant he said overhead. Seer felt a deeper squeeze, longer than a beat, and his throat tried to cough again. Imani grabbed his forearm. Do not let them get a reaction, Imani said. Seer forced his breath smaller. The squeeze eased, but it left a message behind. June looked at him like she was naming the second hand on the wheel. The Prudence engine is also steering you, June said. They are steering you toward failure. Seer nodded once. 2 hands on the wheel, Seer said. They hit the old lift. It groaned and smelled like grease and cold metal, like an elevator behind a grocery store loading dock. June slapped the manual control, and the gate slid shut. The lift dropped with a hard vibration that made Seer's ribs flare. He kept his breath steady anyway. Imani watched his face. Her tone carried grim respect. You are learning fast, Imani said. I am adapting, Seer said, because I do not have a choice. The lift opened onto a narrow walkway above a pressure duct. The air was calmer here, but not safe. Calm was just a break between squeezes. June pointed to a door with a faded warning strip. We go through that pocket, June said. Then we cut across to an anchor pod. Imani kept her question practical. Why an anchor pod? Imani asked. Yoon insisted. Because it is the only place we can make clean data, June said. Clean enough to fight back. Seer kept his eyes on her. What does that mean? Seer asked. June slowed long enough to frame it. The Prudence engine wants a failure event, June said. So we make a stability event instead. Seer stopped thinking like a man being chased and started thinking like a man building a counterstory. I am done running, Seer said. I want them to come to a place we choose. Imani did not soften it. That will hurt, Imani said. It already hurts, Seer said. Now we make the pain useful. Behind them, far down the spine, a camera dome rotated and settled. The building was still watching. Seer's jaw set, and he kept moving. Then we move, Seer said. And this time we move on purpose. June got them to the anchor pod because she knew which doors were old enough to ignore the grid. The goal inside was simple and dangerous. Give Seer a pocket of steady manual pressure long enough to prove he could stay stable, while Imani pulled a clean log that showed the squeeze was being added on top of normal operations. The anchor pod sat on the end of a docking arm like a little garage at the edge of a bridge. It looked like a loading bay booth, boxy and scuffed, built for workers who needed a safe place to lock cargo before a big move. June stopped at the hatch and gave the setup in plain words. An anchor pod is a small pocket with manual air, June said. The grid cannot tune it from outside, but the window is short. Imani nodded. We go in, we log, we leave, Imani said. Seer kept his breathing small and followed. Inside, the pod was quiet in a way the main lanes never were. The air felt flat and steady. Seer could feel the biopatch stop tugging at the edge. Pain dropped from sharp to dull, like someone turned down a dial. Imani did not let relief turn into softness. She set her kit on a bench and opened a small wall panel. Seer kept his question tight. What are you doing? Seer asked. Imani kept it every day. This is a lane recorder, Imani said. If we show the pulses track you, it proves someone tuned the grid against you. June watched the corridor through the pod window. We have minutes, June said. Not comfort. Seer stared at his hands. They were steady. His His head felt clean, and the calm made him angry in a quiet way. They turned my breathing into a lever, Seer said. Imani answered without blinking. So we turned their lever into a receipt, Imani said. The pod light flickered once, and a soft tone pinged. June checked her wrist unit again and swore under her breath. Imani watched her face. Who now? Imani asked. Both, June said. A message from Mara Vin came first. June said. It says the doctor walks out safely if we return you. A second message followed from a remnant claim relay address. June said. It says stable air and a clean exit if we bring the scan ring log. Imani looked at Seer. They're offering different cages, Imani said. Seer kept his voice level. We do not pick a cage, Seer said. We pick a move. June shook her head and kept her voice practical. If we ignore both, they will seal this arm, June said. Imani looked at the panel log. Then we finish fast, Imani said. Seer took a slow breath in, then out, and forced a rhythm the way a runner forces pace at the start of a race. Except he was doing it to keep tape stuck inside his chest. The recorder began to capture. A clean line built on the screen, steady pressure, no pulses. Hold that, Imani said. A dull thud hit the outer hull and traveled through the bench. It was not an explosion. It was a tool impact. Unis as neod. Gray riggers, June said. Seer stepped toward the hatch. They are here to force a reaction, Seer said. Imani grabbed his sleeve. Do not take the bait, Imani said. If you spike now, they win twice. Another thud hit and the hatch latch rattled. June moved to the manual lock and twisted it. They cannot come in without tearing the seal, June said. If they tear it, this pod vents. Imani stayed calm and said the plan first. We do not fight them at the hatch, Imani said. We finish the clean log, then we leave before they vent the pod. Seer kept his question short. Where? Seer asked. Yun points it up of. Pressure control hub, June said. That is where the pulses originate. Imani froze for a beat. That is a hard place to enter, Imani said. June did not flinch. Hard is better than slow death, June said. Outside, the riggers changed tactics and the thud stopped. The sound of a valve turning started, slow and deliberate. Yunis face tightened. They're bleeding the arm pressure, June said. Seer felt the air shift a fraction and the biopatch tugged again. Pain sharpened. Imani looked at the recorder and made a hard call. We have enough, Imani said. Not perfect, but enough. Seer nodded. Then we go, Seer said. June spun the manual lock and popped the hatch at the exact moment the outer pressure dipped. Cold air slapped Seer's face. He kept his breath small and stepped into the arm corridor. Two riggers waited behind a cart with tools ready and faces blank. Seer spoke first, so the goal stayed clear. We are leaving, Seer said. We are leaving to stop the squeeze. One rigger lunged anyway, trying to grab Seer's collar for a scant swipe. Seer did not swing wide. He stepped in, caught the wrist, and pinned it against the cart frame with a short movement that looked like a workplace shove. The second rigger raised a tool and aimed for Seer's ribs. Down, Imani said. Seer dropped low, controlled, keeping his chest quiet. The tool whiffed past and hit the cart with a clang. June kicked the cart brake free and the cart rolled, blocking the riggers for a heartbeat. That heartbeat was all they needed. They moved quick but controlled, fast enough to escape and careful enough to keep Seer's lungs from turning against him. Behind them, the anchor arm pressure kept dropping, and the pod they had used was turning into a trap for whoever stayed. Seer did not look back. Their goal had shifted from survival to confrontation. The pressure control hub was the only place that could answer three questions. Who wrote the pulse routine? Who triggered it? Why was it aimed at a man with a biopatch? The hub sat on a high anchor arm above the salvage grid like an air traffic tower for breathing. It did not look dramatic. It looked like a glass-walled operations room full of quiet screens. June kept feeding the essentials while they moved. The hub is where corridor air settings originate, June said. Once they mark you unstable, they will lock access and erase the trail. Imani nodded. So we go in, we grab the source, we get out, Imani said. Seer kept his breath shallow and his mind sharp. And we do it before Mara Vin writes my collapse into policy, Seer said. They reached a service ladder that climbed into the hub underfloor. The ladder shook slightly from machine vibration. June stopped and looked at Imani. Her voice came out honest. If I use my credential to open this, I burn it, June said. Imani held her gaze. Are you ready to burn it? Imani asked. Yunis Titan. No, June said. Then she looked at Seer. Yes, June said. She pressed her palm to the reader, and the hatch clicked open. They climbed into a narrow underfloor space that smelled like warm plastic and dust. Above them, voices carried through vents, calm and controlled. Mara Vin was up there, and someone else was with her. A softer voice, smooth like a lawyer in a quiet room, carried through a ceiling speaker. Archivist Sable Corrin is on the line, the voice said. Yun swallowed. That is the top, June said. Imani kept her whisper low and sharp. This was never just about him surviving, Imani said. This is about setting a standard. They crawled to a grate and looked up into the hub. Screens glowed. Operators moved between consoles like they were running a normal shift. Mara Vin stood near the center with scanner in hand. A wall screen showed a calm wrist chart, and on it was a single line item that made Seer's stomach drop. His name, his scan ring margin, a status tag waiting to be finalized. Imani kept her whisper tight. We need that source log before they seal it, Imani said. June pointed to a small console near the back wall. That terminal mirrors the hub logs, June said. If we pull from there, it auto-stamps. Seer kept his question short. Can you do it? Seer asked. Yun shook hit. If I touch on the floor, they see my badge, June said. Imani looked at Seer. Then I do it, Imani said. Seer nodded. I cover you, Seer said. They dropped through the grate behind a divider and landed in a crouch. Seer felt the jolt hit his ribs and the biopatch tug, but it held. Imani moved to the terminal and plugged in her recorder. Her hand stayed steady. Her face stayed blank. The terminal asked for authorization. June slid her badge through a hidden slot from behind the divider, and the screen accepted. Mara Vin turned her head slightly, not toward them, toward the terminal, and she knew. Mara spoke without raising her voice. Dr. Rose, step away from that terminal, Mara said. Imani did not step away. I'm pulling the source log, Imani said. I'm doing to stop you from pretending you did not tune a patient. A containment crew shifted. 2 operators moved sideways to block exits. Across the room, a worker in plain coveralls stepped out of a shadowed corner. Seer recognized the posture before the face. The man spoke softly. You came to the tower, the man said. Good. Now give us the link. Seer kept his voice flat. You do not get it, Seer said. The man smiled. Then you do not leave, the man said. Mara Vin raised her scanner. Subject variance is escalating, Mara said. Containment is justified. Seer stepped out from behind the divider with hands open, not surrendering, just blocking. We are here to capture who is squeezing the air, Seer said. We are not here to be carried. A containment worker moved in for a grab. Seer redirected him with a short shoulder turn and a shove into a console rail. It looked like a workplace scuffle, not a fight, and that mattered because a clean fight made a clean label. The remnant claim man tried a different angle. He stepped toward Imani with a hand held out, friendly. Hand me the log, the man said. We can protect you. Imani did not look up from the screen. You want to own the story, Imani said. The download bar crawled. Mara Vin took one step closer. Seer Mercer, sit down, Mara said. If you fall, we carry you safely. Seer felt the squeeze return subtle and aimed at his ribs. He could feel the hub trying to tune him even here. He kept his breathing small and steady. He refused to cough and refused to spike. June's whisper came from behind the divider. Ho, Yun said. The download bar hit the end. The terminal chimed soft, and Imani pulled the recorder free and stepped back. Mara Vin froze for half a beat. Not fear, calculation. The remnant claim man moved fast, reaching for the recorder. Seer blocked him with his body and a short elbow check that knocked the hand away without making spectacle. June rose from behind the divider and spoke into the open room, voice clear. The source log is captured, June said. If you erase it, you prove intent. Mara Vin stared at June. You will lose your credential, Mara said. I know, June said. Seer felt the biopatch tug again. He knew he could not hold long in this air. He nodded to Imani. Now Imani said. They moved for the side service hatch. Mara Vin did not chase with a sprint. She chased with a command. The hub lights shifted and doors began to lock in sequence. June jumped to a manual release panel and slapped it. One door stayed open. You nuke to see you. Her voice went quiet and true. I can open one more, then I am done, June said. Seer met her eyes. Open it, Seer said. June did. They slipped through the hatch into the underfloor corridor as the hub behind them erupted into orders and blame. The log in Imani's hand felt small, but heavier than it looked. It was not a weapon. It was a lever. Now, they had to use it before the building decided to crush them with its own definition of safety. Morrowglass Array was about to decide what Seer Mercer meant. Their goal was simple and urgent. Use the source log Dr. Imani Rose had pulled to prove the squeeze was intentional. Then lock that proof into a public record before the Prudence engine turned Sear into a permanent safety label and the remnant claim turned him into a convenient link. They were still under the pressure control hub in an underfloor corridor that smelled like warm plastic and dust. June led with one hand on the wall, not for comfort, but to feel vibration shifts before the vents changed. Imani held the recorder tight against her chest like it could be snatched by a passing hand. Sear kept his breathing shallow, and even because the biopatch was still holding on by discipline. June stopped at a service hatch and said the move plain. "We go back into the hub," June said. "We do it to make the log stick where it cannot be buried." Sear nodded. "We do it now," Sear said. A door clunked somewhere above them. The sound came in a sequence, and the hub was sealing itself one layer at a time. Imani kept her voice low. "They're trying to trap us inside their definition of safe," Imani said. June pressed her palm to the hatch sensor, and the hatch clicked open. They climbed into the hub through a narrow service gap behind a divider. The room looked like an air traffic office, glass walls and quiet screens, clean the way a place is clean when it expects to control the outcome. Mara Vin stood near the center with her scanner in hand. Her crew was spaced out, not in a line, in a net. A wall display showed a calm wrist chart, and Sear saw his name again, his scan ring margin highlighted, and a status tag blinking like it was waiting for a final click. Imani kept the goal in front. "We are uploading the source log to the public record," Imani said. "We're doing it because they tuned air against the patient." Mara did not raise her voice. "Dr. Rose, you are escalating risk again," Mara said. "Step away." Sear stepped forward with hands open. "We are leaving with the truth," Sear said. "You do not get to label me first." A softer voice came through a ceiling speaker, calm as a board meeting. "Containment lead Vin, maintain stability," the voice said. "Do not allow contamination of the record." Yun Stefnilv. Sear did not need her to say the name, because the top was listening. A figure moved along the far wall, worker jacket and neutral face. Sear recognized the posture before the smile. The remnant claim man lifted an open hand, friendly. "Hand the log to us," the man said. "We will make sure it reaches the right eyes." Imani answered without looking at him. "You will make sure it reaches your eyes first," Imani said. The man shrugged. "Our eyes are the only ones that care about the old dead," the man said. Sear felt the squeeze start subtle, like someone turning a dial under his ribs. The vents above them sighed in a rhythm that was too neat to be weather. Mara watched his face like she was reading numbers. "Do not strain," Mara said. "If you fall, we carry you safely." Sear kept his breath small and refused to cough. The biopatch tugged at the edge, warning him not to spike. June moved toward a back console, the one that mirrored logs. Her steps were calm, like she belonged. Two containment workers shifted to block her line. June stopped. "I am triggering a public safety record," June said. "I am doing it because the hub is not allowed to hide tampering." Mara's eyes narrowed. "You do not have that authority right now," Mara said. June did not flinch. "I have it until you revoke it," June said. "And revocation becomes part of the record." The remnant claim man took one step toward Imani. "If you push it public, the record becomes a weapon," the man said. "People will lose jobs." Imani did not blink. "People die in corridors here," Imani said. "That is worse than losing a shift." Mara lifted her scanner a fraction, and the squeeze sharpened. Sear felt his throat beg for a cough like a sneeze you cannot stop. He swallowed it down and forced a slow exhale. His vision blurred, then cleared. Sear spoke to the room, steady and plain. "You're squeezing the air right now," Sear said. "You are doing it to make me fail." Mara did not deny it. "If you cannot hold under controlled stress," Mara said, "you cannot exist on this grid." They were not debating safety anymore. They were debating whether a person deserved a chance to adapt. June moved again. A containment worker stepped into her path with a palm out. Sear did not rush and did not swing wide. He crossed the floor at a controlled pace and put himself between June and the worker. "Let her pass," Sear said. The worker reached for Sear's collar, aiming for a scan swipe. Sear caught the wrist and turned it down, pinning it against the worker's own belt line with a short movement that looked like a workplace correction. The remnant claim man used the distraction and slipped toward the mirrored console, not toward the recorder, but toward June's badge line. He wanted to steer the upload, not steal it. Imani saw him and snapped a warning. "June, watch your flank," Imani said. June pivoted just enough to block with her shoulder. "Stay back," June said. The man smiled. "We are on the same side," the man said. June's voice stayed flat. You are on your side, June said. Mara took another step closer. Her voice went colder. Enough, Mara said. Containment is justified. Seer felt the squeeze surge. His biopatch tugged hard, and a sharp pain lanced through his ribs. His body wanted to fold. He forced his breath smaller because the only other option was giving them the ending they wanted. Imani reached the console first and slapped the recorder onto the port. June, now, Imani said. June put her palm to the reader. Public record trigger, June said. The console beeped, then hesitated as if it was deciding whether to obey a person or system. Stop, Mara said. The remnant claim man spoke softly, almost gentle. If you do this, you burn every bridge, the man said. Give it to us and walk out. June looked at Seer for half a beat. Seer met her eyes and gave her one nod. Yun heat confirm. The console chimed, a small sound like a receipt printing. A new status bar appeared on the wall display, and the hub lights shifted a shade colder. Mara's face tightened. What did you trigger? Mara asked. June answered plain and fast. A public record channel that auto-copies. To oversight, June said. Once it is stamped, the hub cannot delete it quietly. It has to happen now, June said. The seal sequence is about to lock this room and bury the log. The remnant claim man stopped smiling. You just made it harder for us to control the story, the man said. Imani did not answer. She watched the upload bar crawl. Mara snapped to her crew. Cut the feed, Mara said. An operator tried. The console refused with a dull error tone. Yun exhale once. It is mirrored, June said. You cannot put it back in the dark. That was when remnant claim switched from polite to practical. A deep shudder ran through the floor like the hub had been hit by a heavy truck. Screens flickered. A warning tone rose, not loud but urgent. Seer felt the air change, not a squeeze aimed at him, a whole system shift. Imani looked up. What is that? Imani asked. June's face went tight. Anchor fault, June said. Someone just created a docking arm incident. The remnant claim man did not deny it. Emergency mode wipes active logs, the man said. It is standard. June's voice snapped sharp. You did that to force a scrub, June said. The man shrugged like he had paid for it. A scrub leaves no link, the man said. This was not about justice anymore. It was about erasing the window before the upload finished. The console displayed a line that read, Emergency mode pending. Route locks incoming. June grabbed Seer's sleeve and kept the explanation tight. If emergency mode fully engages, the system dumps live records to stabilize, June said. It will kill our upload, and it happens fast. Imani kept her question short. Can we stop it? Imani asked. June pointed at a side door. Manual anchor cabinet, June said. We have a short window. Mara Vin moved to block the door. Do not leave the hub, Mara said. You will increase hazard. Seer answered first, short and clear. We are leaving to stop the hazard, Seer said. He moved toward Mara with measured steps. The squeeze returned sharp and personal, as if the vents hated his decision. Seer kept his breath small. He used his body like a barrier, not a weapon, and he shifted Mara's line just enough for June to slip past. Mara's scanner chirped, and her crew tightened. Not rushing, just closing angles. Imani stayed at the console with hands steady on the recorder because her job was to keep the upload alive. The remnant claim man hovered near the wall screen, watching the emergency countdown with quiet satisfaction. He was not fighting. He was letting the building do it. June hit the manual anchor door, and it refused. She pressed her badge again. A loud clunk sounded, and the console displayed a line that read, Door reopen, request denied. Mara's voice stayed flat. You have no access, Mara said. Yun don't. Anger sharpened her face. You revoked me? Yun asked. Mara did not blink. For safety, Mara said. Seer felt the biopatch tug harder, and pain flashed, and his vision narrowed. He could not afford a spike now, not with the squeeze and the emergency tremor hitting together. He forced a slow exhale and spoke to June. Use mine, Seer said. Yun blinked. You do not have access, June said. Seer kept his voice level. I have leverage, Seer said. He stepped to a small service panel beside the door, the kind that looked like a breaker box in a back hallway. He popped it open with a tool clipped to the frame. His hands moved with a calm he did not feel. He pulled one connector loose, then reseated it, and the door panel blinked like it had woken up. Yun stiffed. Do you know what you're doing? Yun asked. Seer kept it simple. I'm giving the door a reason, Seer said. The door clicked and unlocked. Yun exhaled. Move, June said. They slipped in the manual anchor cabinet, a tight room with a window that looked down an anchor arm. It felt like the control booth of a bridge, cramped and full of levers that mattered. Below, a docking arm shuddered with lights strobing. A cargo clamp was half closed and half open like it could not decide whether to bite or let go. June moved and spoke fast and plain. The manual anchor can stop the arm from sending a full emergency signal, June said. If we stabilize it, the hub cannot justify wiping live records. It has to happen now, June said. The countdown is close. Sear watched the clamp tremble and felt his lungs tighten for more than air. If the arm tore, people could die. A manual dial. Her hands hesitated for a fraction. Not fear, responsibility. Do it, Sear said. June turned the dial, and the clamp slowed. The shutter eased by a fraction. Then the whole cabinet jolted, and a second fault hit stronger. Yun coast. They are stacking faults, June said. Sear saw the shape of it. Remnant Claim was not trying to destroy the arm. They just needed enough chaos for the hub to wipe the upload. Imani's voice came through the link, strained but steady. Upload is still running, Imani said. Do not let it drop. Sear kept his voice even. We will not, Sear said. The squeeze hit Sear again, timed with a cabinet tremor. His biopatch tugged, and the pain sharpened into a hot edge. His throat begged for a cough. If he coughed now, he would fold. If he folded, June would have to catch him, and her hands would leave the dial. Sear locked his jaw and forced a slow exhale through the pain. His eyes watered, but he kept his shoulders loose. Yun glanced to him. You are shaking, June said. Sear answered plain. I'm holding, Sear said. Keep turning. June turned the dial another notch. The clamp steadied further. The emergency warning outside slowed, then paused, visible through the cabinet door gap. A muffled shout came from the hub. Mara Vin had realized the wipe was slipping away. The cabinet door rattled, and someone hit it from the outside. Sear stepped between the door and June and planted his feet like a brace. The handle jerked, and Mara's voice came through sharper now. Open, Mara said. You are compromising safety. Sear spoke through the door, short and clear. We are preventing a tear, Sear said. That is safety. Another shove hit the door. Sear absorbed it with his shoulder, careful not to jar his ribs too hard. Pain flashed, and the biopatch tugged, but he stayed upright. June whispered like a final step. Almost, June said. A final dial turn locked the clamp into a stable state. The shutter in the floor eased, and the emergency warning on the hub display dropped from pending to monitored. Imani's voice returned with relief and steel mixed. Upload complete, Imani said. June closed her eyes for one beat, then opened them. Then the record is out, June said. The remnant claim man had lost his clean. Erase, and that meant he would try something messier. Sear felt the air shift again in the cabinet, a squeeze pulse sharp and personal. She's still trying to make me drop, Sear said. Yun kop sleeve. We leave now, June said. We do it while they are recalculating. They pushed out of the cabinet into the hub corridor. Mara Vin was there with 2 containment workers and her scanner lifted. Mara's face had lost its calm. Stand down, Mara said. Imani stepped into view from the console lane with recorder in hand. It is already public, Imani said. You cannot imprint it. Mara's eyes flicked to the wall display. A public record stamp glowed, mirrored across multiple channels. Her whole strategy had depended on quiet, and quiet was gone. The remnant claim man stepped forward too, and the smile was gone. You just ruined our leverage, the man said. Imani answered without heat. You're going to ruin people, Imani said. Sear stayed between them, breathing small, with his chest burning and his feet steady. It is over, Sear said. Mara looked at Sear like he was a math problem that had refused to solve. You will still be classified, Mara said. Sear kept his voice even. Then classify the truth too, Sear said. When the public record stamp hit, the hub did not explode into hero noise. It turned into paperwork with teeth. Screens lit with oversight pings. External reviewers joined the channel. Hold began to form like storm warnings. The Prudence engine did not collapse. It adjusted. A voice came over the speaker again, softer now and controlled. Containment lead Vin, stand down, the voice said. Archive review is in progress. June knew that voice. She said it under her breath like a fact. Sable Corin, June said. Mara Vin lowered her scanner a fraction. Anger tightened her jaw. You forced the archive to look, Mara said. June did not celebrate. That was the point, June said. The remnant claim man stepped back toward the wall with eyes scanning for exits. His plan had failed in the clean way, so he tried the dirty way. He raised a small device in his palm, a tagger meant to grab a scan ring margin in one touch. He lunged for Sear's chest. Sear did not swing. He pivoted, caught the wrist, and pinned it to the wall with a short shove. The move was controlled, but the impact jarred Sear's ribs. Pain flashed, and his breath hitched. The biopatch tugged hard. Imani saw Sear's face change and grabbed his shoulder. Small breaths, Imani said. Sear forced a slow exhale through his teeth. The cough tried to rise, but he swallowed it down with stubborn control. June stepped in and slapped the device out of the man's hand. It clattered across the floor and slid under a console. The man backed away. His eyes went cold. You chose the archive, the man said. That will cost you. June did not deny it. I know, June said. Mara Vin looked at the device on the floor, then at the wall displays lighting with review notices. Public review was the opposite of control. Mara spoke quiet and sharp. Dr. Rose, you will be charged, Mara said. Imani answered without backing away. Charge me for keeping a man alive, Imani said. At least the record will show why. A containment worker moved toward June. June raised her hand slightly, not surrendering, signaling she would not fight. A new chime sounded from the hub entrance. It was not containment. A shift supervisor and two line foremen stepped in with faces tight. When people with quotas walk into a room like this, it means the money has noticed. The supervisor looked at the wall stamp and spoke like he was swallowing glass. We are under review now, the supervisor said. Mara Vin did not reply. Her posture said she understood the cost. Sear leaned against the divider for half a beat. He could feel the biopatch like a coin taped inside his chest, alive, but never free of the debt. June stepped close and kept her voice low. You have to leave Morrowglass, June said. Sear kept the question small. What about you? Sear asked. June ist Zeitend. I stay, June said. Someone has to keep the record from turning back into a whisper. Imani looked at June and said it like a warning. They will erase you socially, Imani said. Not with violence, with sidelining. June nodded once. I know, June said. I would rather be sidelined than be silent. Sear swallowed. His chest hurt and his eyes were clear. You saved me without pretending it was free, Sear said. June met his eyes. The moment was short and honest. It did not need romance words to carry weight. Do not let them turn you into a reason to erase someone else, June said. I will not, Sear said. Imani touched the recorder in her hand, then tucked it away like a relic that was actually just data. We go, Imani said. They took a service exit that June opened with the last of her access. The corridor outside smelled like coolant and old paint. It felt like walking out of a courtroom through a back door. Behind them, the hub stayed loud with review pings and angry voices. The Prudence engine would fight with policy, not fists. The remnant claim would regroup and try another link another day. Sear and Imani reached a small shuttle bay, the kind used for short hops, not glory. The bay looked like a parking garage with a ship in it. Imani strapped Sear into a seat and checked his breathing. You held through it, Imani said. Sear forced a small smile. I did not win by being strong, Sear said. I won by not giving them the moment they wanted. Imani nodded once. That is strength, Imani said. The shuttle lifted off and Morrowglass Array shrank into a lattice of lights and shadow. From far away it looked calm, like any industrial halo in the dark. Sear rested a hand over his chest and felt the steady tug of the biopatch, alive but no longer a silent variable. Imani looked out the window and asked the last question. What happens next? Imani asked. Sear answered in one clean line. We keep moving, and we keep the record loud, Sear said. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and share it with someone who loves sci-fi. Subscribe for more stories, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next episode. Morrowglass Array never exploded. It never confessed. It just kept humming, the way systems do when they believe they can outlast the people inside them. But somewhere beyond those lanes and vents, the truth is no longer a whisper in a back corridor. It is stamped. It is copied. It is waiting in more than one place. Sear Mercer leaves that station with a lung held together by a biopatch and discipline, and with a lesson that will follow him for the rest of his life. Strength is not always the hit you throw. Sometimes it is the moment you refuse to give them what they want. No panique. No spectacle. No clean failure they can turn into policy. Dr. Imani Rose walks away knowing she may be punished for doing the one thing medicine was made for. Keeping a human being alive when a system prefers a label. And June Valen stays behind, not because she is fearless, but but because she understands something most people learn too late. If nobody stands where the record can be rewritten, the record will be rewritten. Out there in the dark, other stations are watching. Other committees are listening. And the next time a machine tries to call a person a risk, someone will ask a harder question first. Who tuned the air? If you enjoyed the story, please hit like. It helps more than you think. Share it with a friend who loves science fiction and high-stakes survival. And subscribe to the channel for more original sci-fi stories, where the danger is real, the choices have consequences, and the next episode is always closer than it feels.